everyone. Today we are going to go book shopping. I was organising my bookshelves the other day and I realised that when I filmed my reading my TBR for the month video, I've actually pretty much read almost all the books on my TBR. I have 4 books that I have not read but I am reading this week. And then I have the 6 of Crows duology, and then I have the Atlas 6 and the second book in that series, the 2 of those. And that's it. They're all the books that I own on my bookshelf behind me physically that I have not read. So I thought that I definitely need to go and do a bookshop and pronto, because I'm gonna be picking my TBR for the month and I don't have enough books to pick from. So I asked you guys on Instagram, TikTok and here on YouTube what books that you think I should read, and I've sort of compiled a wish list of books that I can go and pick up over time, but also keep an eye out for when I go book shopping. Just drinking my matcha, don't mind me. So let's go and do some book shopping together. I woke up an hour earlier today to start work an hour earlier so that I could take an hour before my lunch break to go to the bookstore, because basically I need to film a TBR video today. And I went to my bookshelf and realized I only have 4 books left on my TBR, and when I'm picking 6 books for a TBR video, 1, those 4 might not match the prompts. 2, there's not enough. As a girly who reads 20 to 30 books a month, I thought it's probably time to do my bookshop. And I've not actually gone and done a bookshop since my last book shopping vlog. It's been a while. I've talked about my book shopping process before, because I basically go to the shopping centre in Edinburgh. It's very rundown. It's in need of a reno. It's just full of old people, but they have They have the Works, Waterstones and a WHSmiths, and all 3 of those places sell books. I sort of do a lap of all 3. I always start off at the Works because the Works is the cheapest one. I can get books for £5 or less. And then WHSmith usually has deals where it's 2 for £14 and some offers, but I also find that books that they don't have in Waterstones, they'll usually have in WHSmith. And Waterstones, I feel like that's our version of a Barnes and Nobles. I've got a membership card there, so I collect points. So every £10 you spend, well, is it every £10? I think if you spend over £10 you get a stamp, but there are some books that are over £5 where you can get a half stamp. If you buy 10 books, you can get 8 to 10 stamps on your account. You get 10 stamps, you get a £10 voucher. So you sort of get a gift card for every 10%. But I'm letting mine add up because I kind of just want to do a big free book shopping haul. So I'm trying to let it get up. Right now it's at £50, but I think I want to wait for it to get to £100, because to be honest, everything adds up. I do all my pre-orders, especially for hardcovers you get 2 stamps, so why would I not buy them from Waterstones if I can get 2 stamps out of 10? So all my pre-orders are on there, and you don't get your stamp until the pre-order is being released, but it does add up. So this month I had a lot of pre-orders of books that I ordered months ago that have been released, so my stamps doubled. And then Waterstones also has double stamp weekends where where you'd usually get 1 stamp, you get 2. So if you buy 5 books or 5 stamps worth of books, you'd actually get 10 stamps, so you'd get a free £10 gift card. Does this make sense? So yeah, I try to keep my book shopping on the affordable side. I do budget each month for my book allowance and I spend it however I want, but I try to have some strategy so I get the best value for money. If things are ridiculously cheap on Amazon, then I'll buy books on Amazon, but I don't actually buy that many on Amazon because I don't really like Amazon. That's the plan. We're gonna go and pick up some books now. Gonna try and not take too long at the shops. That's the plan. I've just driven to the shopping centre, so we're gonna go in and buy books, but I actually asked you guys what I should buy because I don't know, I've just been so busy this month that I haven't, usually I'll save videos I see on my TikTok into a little save folder of book recommendations, and then I'll go there, and what I do is I go through everything, I figure out if they're a physical book or if they're on Kindle Unlimited, and then on my Goodreads I'll categorize them into a little folder. I've got a little thing there that says Kindle. I know what books I can read on Kindle Unlimited, and I won't buy physical copies of them. What I will do though is then I'll go through my want to read list, and when I go book shopping, that's sort of what I go based on. But I wanted some new recommendations and ideas. I don't know what to read. I wanted some ideas, so I asked over on my Instagram stories and also on YouTube here what books you guys would recommend, and there was a lot of the same recommendations and then a lot of ones that I'd never heard of. So I have a big list now of books fresh in my head that if I see I'm gonna pick up, and there are a few I want to pick up. Like I want to pick up Defy the Night. I keep looking at Serpent and Dove, but I don't buy it because I think I'll just buy it on Amazon because it's cheaper if I get it in a box set, but then I never do, so maybe we'll get that. I've not read any V.E. Schwab books, but lots of them have been recommended, so if I see one I might pick it up. I do want to get maybe a Cassandra Clare book, the first Mortal Instruments book. I want to get the first Misborn book of Brandon Sanderson's, or Red Rising by P.S. Brown. I've not read Dance of Thieves, that's another one that was recommended loads. And Ember in the Ashes, a few people recommended. I do really want to read The Witch Collector, but I can't find anywhere to buy it in person. I think I need to buy it online. Yeah, there's so many options, so I think we're just going to go and have a browse and see what is on the shelves, and maybe pick up some things I've never heard of. We'll have a look. We'll see what's like new in as well, any new releases and stuff. So there's like a whole group of people just like watching me vlog. It's like, how do I take a picture? It'll last longer. Alright, let's go in and buy books. Enough yapping. Let's spend some coin today. Honestly way less books here than usual. I want to read this. I also want to get this, but they don't have it at Waterstones, so I might come back for it. So we did the shop. There was nothing at the works and almost nothing at WHSmith. For some reason, like WHSmith used to have a lot of books there, and the way that they've organized them on the shelves now as well, there's barely anything, like nothing. So there wasn't actually that much for me to buy there. There was a few books that I saw at the works that I wanted to pick up, but they were like second or third books in the series. So then I was like, oh, I'm not going to pick them up because I don't have the first book. And I checked on my phone on the Waterstones app to see if Waterstones had the first book, so I could pick up the first book and then read the second, but no, unfortunately not. We got 16 books. So I think that we should just go through and I'll show you all what I picked up. The first one, this is one that is regularly mentioned by OG fantasy readers. This is the first book in the Misborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. Now, Brandon Sanderson, I know does, I think George R.R. Martin, who writes Game of Thrones, recommends his books. And this is also the first male author that I've picked up this year. Crazy, I know. We've got a few male authors that I've picked up, which is mental for me because I've been reading so much like romantasy and I can't imagine a man doing a romantasy. Brandon Sanderson has like an entire fantasy world and like universe with like multiple books in it and book series and spin-offs, kind of similarly to like how Sarah J Maas's ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, Crescent City, and like ACOTAR and Crescent City are connected type of thing. Like he has a whole world of books that are connected. He's also got like books that are set in a completely different world. Most of his books are sort of set in the same world and follow different groups of characters. So everyone always says to start off with the Misborn series. It is very big and it's also printed in a way that reminds me of The Lord of the Rings. Quite small and tight in a very big book. So I have a feeling it's going to take me a while to get through, but everything that I've heard about his writings and his books and all the TikToks I've seen and interviews of him talking about his books, like I think I'm going to love it, and you guys tell me that I will love it, so I know I'm going to love it. So I've picked this up. Speaking of George R.R. Martin, in my what I'm reading on holiday video, I was saying how I'm obsessed with dragons right now and I am watching House of the Dragon. Now I don't want to commit to 8 books in Game of Thrones right now, that just doesn't sound appealing to me. Maybe in the colder months and when I have, you know, want to, but I've not actually read any George R.R. Martin books. So I saw this. This is Fire and Blood, and this is the prequel book that is the inspiration for House of the Dragon. So I want to read it. I know obviously House of the Dragon is not going to be exactly this, like it's like inspiration, but I kind of want to. There's also like pages of illustrations in here. It has images. How cool is that? And then I've said to my dad and Cami, if they want to read this after me, they can. Staying on track with male authors, I picked up Red Rising. I know this is like one of Haley Pham's favorite book series. I've not really ventured out too much into sci-fi. Like I read a lot of fantasy, but not too much sci-fi. This looks quite small. Like it looks like it's easy to read. Again, it's printed so tiny, and I know the books get bigger in the series, but also my friend Estelle, she said this is her favorite read of the year, and she's very fussy with books, very picky in particular, so I trust her opinion. All the ratings and reviews and everything I've seen, I was like, yeah, I need to pick it up. Now I'm starting to get into the proper fantasy and sci-fi books outside of just like the BookTok recommended ones, so we've picked that up. But speaking of BookTok recommended books, I picked up The Ministry of Time because the lovely lady at Waterstones told me that I should read this, and I am a people pleaser. Well, I'm not really, I honestly don't care what people think about me, but if someone in person is trying to help me face to face, I want to help them back. So if she's saying, if you're looking for a good like sci-fi recommendation or read, I would really recommend this, I would enjoy it. I'm going to go, I trust you and I'm going to buy it now. I did want to read this. I just wasn't like in an immediate rush to pick it up. Again, I'd seen Haley Pham give this 5 stars and say it was amazing. I know it's one of Goodreads' most highly rated or recommendations at the moment. I know this is like winning awards or nominated for awards and is like a time traveler story. I'm not good at explaining books that I've not read, but we got this one. I also feel like I need to sort of branch out a bit and read some different things. Again, another male author, Andy Darcy Theo. I saw him promoting this book on TikTok himself and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna read that, and it was buy one get one half price at WHSmiths. But yeah, it looks like a good size, it's printed well, and the reviews I've seen have been great, so got that. And then the other book I got in the buy one get one half price offer was The Scarlet Veil. Cover of this, I was just like, yeah, this is giving fantasy books that I like this aesthetic is the typical type of books that I read. And then I read the back of it and I thought it sounded really interesting. And then I saw that it said from the same author as the Serpent and Dove trilogy. The Serpent and Dove trilogy is one that I really want to read, and people in my comments have been asking if I've read it and my opinions of it, and I haven't, but I know it's like a witch story and I love witches. We know I'm going through like a witchy and a dragon phase right now. So I kept wanting to pick this up. And I did. So big books, that's the one thing that put me off the trilogy, is that the books are huge, which doesn't usually faze me, but I'm like, probably will take me like a week to read just one trilogy. And in a typical week, I read like 7 books. So this whole shop, by the way, I tried to only just buy the first book in a series rather than all of them or a couple, which is what I've typically done in the past. Like I've bought a whole trilogy up front just because I don't know what I'm going to like, and I've read a few books lately that I've read the first one and it's okay, but I'm like not in a rush to pick up the second one. But if I have the second one, then I'm sort of forcing myself to read it, whereas this I can go, yeah, I like that, but I'm gonna come back to it. But then if I read one and I go, oh, I really need to know what happens next, I can just run to the bookstore or order it online, you know, so I can read it straight away, or just read it on my Kindle. A Study in Drowning. I watched Alexa Ray read this book in a vlog recently. That's how I'd heard of it, and I looked up the reviews on Goodreads, and people who I follow who have similar book taste to me rated this quite highly. It's giving academia vibes. It sounds really interesting. I have to say I do not like the sprayed edges or the front cover. It was the only one they had there, and it was included in like a buy one get one half price deal, so obviously I was like, I'm gonna get it because it's half price. But yeah, I picked this one up. The Foxglove King was recommended to me here on YouTube and a few times in my Instagram stories. I'd recently seen Paperback Honey on TikTok. She reviewed this and enjoyed it. This has been on my want to read list for a while, but as soon as I saw her review it, I was like, yeah, I think I'll enjoy this. And it was buy one get one half price on the table, so I was like, I'm definitely picking this up today. V.E. Schwab books are one of the most recommended to me. I've not read any of them. I know The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is like so popular and like a book talk favorite. A Darker Shade of Magic is one that was really recommended to me, but also Vicious was. And I know there's 2 books in this series. They look quite small, so I thought it would be quite a good one to start with, and the reviews for this looked really interesting. Superhero and a supervillain type of dynamic here, so I picked this one up. This is gonna be my first V.E. Schwab book, and also like one of the top reviews on Goodreads, someone saying that this is my second V.E. Schwab book and it's my favorite. So I was like, I'm starting off on a strong note with this one. I got Dance of Thieves, another highly recommended duology that I have not read. It's quite a large book. They only had the first book there, otherwise I would have just picked up the second in this case because there's only 2. I know that there is another, and is it like a prequel for this or something? It's like connected to this series, but this is a YA, but it was in the adult section. I spent so long trying to find it in the YA section because it said on the Waterstones website that it was in stock, and I was standing YA like, it's not here. Obviously I'm not going to ask someone for help in the shop, that would be ridiculous, but I found it in the adult section and it was just by itself. So Defy the Night is one of the most recent recommendations that I've had in my comments on all my social platforms, and I actually went to pick it up the last time I went book shopping in that book shopping vlog, but I held off. And at the time when I went to pick this up, they had all the books in this series that are out on the shelf. When I went, there was only 1 book left and it was this one, so I was like, I definitely have to get it. I can't stop seeing Defy the Night being recommended in my comments. I really wanted to read it, so we got it. And I think this is dual point of view chapters. I've also been reading a lot of adult fantasy books, like a lot of these are adult fantasy, but I feel like I just need some YA books. I need a bit of a break from adult fantasy. It's sometimes just so intense. So I got Sorcery of Thorns. This one has been on my want to read list since March, and I wasn't planning on picking it up, but I saw they had 1 copy of it on the shelf, so I picked it up. Someone did say to me they'd read this and they loved it while they read it, but they don't remember anything of it now, which is honestly kind of what I want when I'm looking for a YA fantasy. Like, I don't go into every book expecting it to be like the #1 life-changing 5-star series. I sort of just read for escapism, and this is a book that just seems fun. YA fantasy. Am I gonna remember the plot for the rest of my life? Probably not, most likely not. Am I gonna enjoy it? I think I will. It sounds like my kind of thing. Another YA book, We Hunt the Flame. I think this is a duology, or at least there's 2 books in this series that I know that are out. And it's about a hunter who has to disguise herself as a man, and then a prince of death who is a feared assassin. So again, yeah, fancy vibes. We're down to the last 2 books. The first one is Bride of the Shadow King. I had this on my want to read list, and then I saw that Rachel Catherine read the trilogy on her YouTube channel, and I think she gave them like a 3 to a 3.5 star, but I again just need something that's sort of easy enough to read. I also think the book cover is beautiful. That is so loud. Yeah, they had all 3 out and I was gonna buy all 3, but I was like, rein it in, hold yourself, hold yourself. Sounds right up my street. And again, the book is so pretty. I just love good book covers. They always look so nice on my shelf. I mean, that's like not an important factor when picking a book, and you know, don't judge a book by its cover, but a bonus when it is really pretty. And as you can see, I finally picked up a Cassandra Clare book. I know her books, I think this was like a 2007 book. Like, these are OG YA fantasy books. Now, I know nothing about Shadowhunters. I've never watched the show, I've never read the books, and I was told to start with The Mortal Instruments. So I picked up the first book, which is City of Bones. And again, another fantasy world with multiple books in the series and like other interconnected series maybe, but an OG book series that I thought I should probably pick up and read because it's always recommended to me. Vampires and werewolves, Dark Side of New York, Forbidden Love. Hell yeah. It's giving like urban fantasy and I'm very excited to read this. So they are all the books that I bought. I'm gonna put them on my shelf now. We'll put them on my shelf and I think then we're gonna call it a day.